ma'alot. Esa enai el heharim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, ose shamayim va'aretz, ani tein amot raglecha. Al yanum shomrecha, hine lo yanum velo ishan, shomer Israel. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzircha, al yad yeminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka, ve'yareach balayla. Adonai yishmorcha mikora, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzetcha uvoecha. Me'ata ve'ad olam. Me'ata ve'ad olam.
The words the cantor just said are from Psalm 121. It's a common psalm that we sing at Jewish funerals. And in our tradition, the words that he just read, Esa anai el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri. I lift my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? In times of trouble as a community, we look for strength and help, like the speaker of that psalm who found comfort in the view of the mountains in front of him. Indeed, there are some people in our lives who are like mountains, seemingly eternal, unshakable, strong. And Bobby was one of our mountains, a true fighter, who despite a life filled with blessings as well as burdens, lived his life with poise and a stubborn optimism that impacted all of those around him. He had a wisdom and a tenacity and a sometimes subtleness that impacted others. I think he lived his life as a model for others, caring and devoted as a father, a husband, a brother. He mattered to people. So it seems unthinkable that our mountain is gone, because mountains are supposed to last forever. So when we lift our eyes to the mountains, what do? Because one of them is missing. And the psalmist, in the psalm that the cantor just sang, say, from where will our help come? And they answer, Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Our help comes from the Eternal One, maker of heaven and earth. And while that might provide a little comfort for us, I think this morning we add to those words. Our help comes from the embrace of loved ones and community. And so together we gather around Bobby's family, offering him strength and comfort as we say goodbye to him and honor his life today. Our hearts specifically go out to Diane, who stood by his side in every moment, especially in those declining months, and to his children and his grandchildren and his sister. We know that his loss impacts others, and our heart will not be the same without him. a poem by the poet Henry Scott Holland. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away into the next room. I am I and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the same easy way which you always did. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without the shadow of a ghost on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolutely unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am just waiting for you, for an interval somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. We turn to the program. We'll sing the words first of Psalm 23, and then we'll read them together as a community.
Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, binot tesheyarbitzeni, al mei menuchot, ינח עליני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק, ינחני במעגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. לאורך ימים.
Join with me. With God as my shepherd, I shall not want. The Eternal makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside the still waters, restores my soul, guides me in straight path for the sake of God's name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Eternal forever. The bottom of that program is another reading, a reading from the book of Kohelet, the book of Ecclesiastes. And it's a reading that talks about this idea of the entirety of life, the circle that we will go through, each and every one of us. And as we read this together, an opportunity for us to think about our relationships with Bobby. When did we have joys? When did we have sorrows? When did we have tensions? When did we have fulfillment? When did we have seriousness? When did we have silliness? Let's read together. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, a time to harvest, a time to tear down, a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to grieve, a time to dance, a time to embrace, a time to stand alone, a time to seek, a time to lose, a time to hold on, and a time to let go, a time to rend, a time to mend, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak. This is our time to speak. And to begin the speaking this morning, we invite forward longtime friends, Judy and Tom Capellan.
Good morning. Today is a day we remember and celebrate Bobby Zimmerman. My name is Judy Capellan, and my husband is going to wait and talk later. We have been close friends of Bobby and Diane since we were dating in the 1970s. Thank you for being here today. If you knew Bob, you knew how generous he was and with a sharp sense of humor. He always had a joke to tell. Some jokes we're able to tell others, and some we were not. His humor put everyone at ease. I remember the first joke he ever told, and I will not share it at this time. We went on many vacations together, and when we were first married and throughout the growing years of our families. Planning the vacations, being on vacation, and reflecting on our experiences on vacation was a joyful time for all of us. We skied, we camped, and we visited northern Wisconsin, always including a scavenger hunt and biking with our kids, especially in Door County. When Tom couldn't make it, Bobby substituted as the bike carrier for Kate, even though she cried the entire Peninsula State Park Trail. He was so generous and good with every child he met. When we rented a houseboat on the Mississippi, Bob drove. We stopped for gas for a lottery ticket at a small dock with a station, got back on the houseboat, started up the engine, and took off on our journey. Only no one untied the boat from the dock. So we took a little bit of it with us. That night, everyone lay on the top deck watching a gorgeous meteor shower led by our leader, Bob. Diane, you were his soulmate. He was so proud of you, your intellect, your youthfulness, and you were there for him every day. Jeremy, Alyssa, and Royce, raising you was his proudest achievement. He was always thinking of you. On one trip, Tom and Bob were looking at an exceptional, expensive pair of shoes. And Tom said, well, do you think we should buy them? And Bobby said, not for me. I was thinking I should get them for Jeremy. Visiting in Alyssa and Keith's home in St. Paul, Bob said, Judy, if I win the lottery, the first thing I want to do is buy Alyssa new cupboards. And Royce, he was so proud of you when you passed your CPA exam. He thought your hard work would get you far, and he was right. All three of you have supported your parents admirably and with love. Bob wasn't just important to us, he brought so much light for all of us. From him, we learned the life lesson to not take life too seriously and to show up for the people you love. His sister Cookie and all his friends and relatives showed up for him too. Saying goodbye is difficult, but Tom and I are incredibly grateful for the time we shared and the memories we will always carry with us. Thank you, Bob, for your friendship, your laughter, and the example you set. We will miss you deeply. Thank you for being our friend.
We'll next hear from an old friend of Bobby, member of this synagogue, Dan Littman. As Dan comes up, I think Bettine told me that her and Bobby were actually friends from Jewish youth group in Sheboygan. So Bettine, you're one of the people that have known him here longer than almost anybody else.
What a beautiful tribute to Bobby that you're all here today. I had the honor and the privilege to play cards with Bobby for many years. I've been asked to share a few memories of Bobby's card club. First, I want to acknowledge that these remembrances of Bobby and the card group that I'll share with you this morning are a compilation of the various members of the group, for which I extend my thanks. In 1975, more than 50 years ago, Louis Swidarski, our dear friend of blessed memory, gathered some friends for cheer, camaraderie, and games of skill and chance. The members took turns hosting the bi-weekly meetings on Wednesday evenings, somewhat promptly at 7 p.m., and extending 3 to 4 hours of play. The playing time diminished with the aging of the members, as you might expect. For decades and decades and decades, Bobby was an integral part, and in many ways the heart, the soul, and the jester of this austere group of comrades. For some quick calculations, that would be 1,300 gatherings, 3,900 hours of playing, and 78,000 games of skill and chance. As you might imagine, we became friends and companions in that process. The self-determined name of the club was the Madison Philosophical Society, or MPS for short. We were short on philosophy, but long on fun, teasing, and general camaraderie. Without waxing too philosophically, we shared life's challenges and we shared life's triumphs at these games. While the members changed over the years, Bobby was a constant source of jokes, as we all know, good cheer, and a smiling face. Also, he was a source of self-effacing comments. For example, when Paul Minkus and Bobby were winners of a game, Bobby would exclaim, "Hey, the short guys won." Bobby was a master at remembering and telling jokes, as we all know. I'm so jealous of that prior speaker who actually remembered the first joke that Bobby told her. That's because the 11 of us in this group couldn't remember one full joke. As an example, a man and his monkey walked into a bar and the man says, "I'll have a beer." And the bartender asked the monkey, "What are you going to have?" Bobby would go on and finish that joke. We couldn't remember the end for our lives. Swen and Ole meet on a town road, and Swen says to Ole, only Bobby could finish it, not the rest of us. Bobby continued on, joke after joke. We can't even repeat one full joke. Each member had a nickname, and Bobby's was the counter. This came with a serious and constant responsibilities, which consisted of dividing the pot between the winners of each game. Bobby had a wizardry, deft and swift art to this responsibility. He kept a pace and rhythm for the evening for all of us. even among the Cheshire cat smiles of the winners and the shouts of the losers to deal another game. One of the rules was that each member would deal and determine the game to be played. Bobby, as we all know, was a wonderful salesman with customers throughout Dane County. One customer of particular note was located in Mazomanie, Wisconsin. So naturally, Bobby's famous game was aptly called Mazomanie. Played with a twist, Bobby would dutifully remind us to remember that after the next to last round of betting, you all have to catch this, that each player had to declare in counterclockwise turns whether they were going high or low. Inevitably, we forgot this rule, that the last raiser was the first declarer in reverse. So there's your lesson. As you know, Bobby enjoyed people and socializing. One of the annual highlights of the MPS year was the Brat Fest at Bobby and Diane's house. We would gather 1 hour early to enjoy Sheboygan brats, naturally Sheboygan brats, sauerkraut, Sheboygan buns, potato salad, coleslaw, and a variety of soft drinks. Usually that evening led to a series of slow, contented play as we digested the sumptuous meal. Now, I don't want you to think that Bobby nor the other members of the club were perfect. There were some memorable drink spillage moments. For a number of years, orange soda was the favorite drink of this club. You may see where this is going. For a number of years, one particular evening, playing at a table in a room with white carpeting, Bobby had a little slip returning to his seat, carrying a full glass of orange soda. The carpeting never looked better. This is just a flavor, pun intended, of Bobby's MPS career. We could go on forever. Bobby will be remembered and missed at every one of our Wednesday night gatherings. Rest in peace, our friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. It's been so nice for me to hear some of the stories from that card group. It's like, when you think about the value of fellowship and camaraderie that you guys bring to one another, you bring to community, I think it's a little bit of a lost art these days. And how amazing that you and this group of probably pretty bad card players come together and recognize it's more about than cards. Something that I think about in my own life a lot. We'll next hear from the three children of Diane and Bobby, Royce, Jeremy, and Alyssa, at this time.
Thank you all for coming to honor my father. He was a special person that I loved and will be missed. He taught me to work hard, be respectful, and always help those in need. There were many firsts with him, from learning to ride a bike, teaching me to read the AAA maps when we went traveling. He was always ready to teach and help with a few jokes thrown in. When he wasn't working, we always had fun. Trips to Florida, Door County, camping, skiing, and visiting family. Family was always important. Even though he didn't drink, he was always the life of the party, making people laugh and getting everyone involved. He took the time to come to games and events, always cheering me on. When I was in high school, he took the time to help coach me in pole vaulting, since he had done it in high school and college himself. He had a love of cars, which he shared, and loved to take me to car shows. As he showed me all the old cars from the 40s and 50s that he loved, he would tell me stories about them. Then he would happily walk with me around as I checked out all the muscle cars that I was more interested in. He had an old Hudson Wasp, and he stored it at my grandparents'. And when my grandfather passed away, we went to Sheboygan to get it. And he used to always say that he could sell the vehicle and they could melt it down for scrap. They could make 50 new vehicles out of that thing. So we had a flatbed truck to grab it and just about pulled the winch off trying to get the vehicle up there since it didn't run. Then on the way home, we decided to stop for some food, and we managed to get it stuck through a drive-through. But you know, those things happened. It was just another adventure, and we would laugh about it. So he never got discouraged. When we went skiing, the two of us somehow always ended up at a double black diamond. But it never stopped him. If I was ready to go on it, so was he. Teaching me about Judaism was also important. Spending time together during the holidays and discussing the meanings and the history behind all the holidays. I'll always cherish the walks we took along with Paul Minkus and Louis Sudarsky during Yom Kippur. We always took a little walk, talked about the baseball games going on, the playoffs, and it was always nice. He took us camping. There's so many stories that, you know, I could bring up and talk, but we'd be here all day, actually. So basically, we will keep his memory alive through all these shared stories and remember all the goodness that he brought.
Okay. We're going to try to do this without crying, but we'll see. Thank you all for being here today to honor my dad. My dad was a great man, and I loved him dearly. He taught me so many things throughout my life, but perhaps the greatest lesson he taught was how to give to others without expecting anything in return. He was kind, generous, hardworking, and always willing to help somebody in need, whether he knew them or not. We used to take trips to Sheboygan on Saturday mornings to go help my grandma Betty. We would fill the Cadillac with gas, Grandpa's old car, and it was kind of purpley pink, and hit the road for, at that time, 3 hours driving. I always had a mixtape of the newest top 10, and it always included Wind Beneath My Wings. I know, cheesy, but we liked singing songs together in the car when it was just the two of us, which many of the songs were. We talked about school or sports or whatever made the trip go by. Once in a while, when we would get through Fond du Lac, he would pull over and let me drive. The deal always was, we say nothing to Mom or your brothers. Especially since I was 12. When I turned 16 and got to drive the whole trip, we would laugh about where we always stopped to switch seats times before. We had these special one-on-one times throughout my life. We got to tour a World War II plane in Green Bay at the EAA fly-in because Dad knew someone who flew the plane, and it was just him and I. Talking to him on a late night drive, keeping him awake while everyone else slept in the back of the van, dreaming about Florida or skiing in Colorado or wherever and whatever place we were traveling to. It made me great at knowing the signs he was getting tired, like hanging over the wheel or shimming in his seat, and the best was always this. You knew he was tired at that point. Pizza was with his favorite beer, root beer, of course, because he didn't drink, after a college soccer game in La Crosse, driving 2 hours to watch me warm the bench. So many memories, it's hard to pick a favorite. His humor was contagious, and the guy could remember so many jokes, not always appropriate for young years, Ethan, but usually funny and made him a popular room at any hospital stay over the years. He was the only person I know who could get lost in a parking lot, more than once. One was in Florida, a Florida Disney hotel, so that's actually okay. But it became a bit of a joke, especially after the third time. He laughed about it with us, usually by the time we made it out of the parking lot. He wasn't the first person to the party. We are the Zimmermans and known to be late. But he always was the last to leave after washing dishes and cleaning up. He'd sit quietly in a chair, resting his eyes, while the rest of us partied the night away. His loss leaves a space in our hearts that can never be truly filled, and he will be missed more than words can express. But I am grateful for the time we shared, the memories we made, and the examples he set for all of us. Those memories will stay with me forever, and we will continue to tell stories about it so the grandkids and the great-grandkids and the next generation remembers them. Those memories will stay with me forever, and I will do my best to live life in a way that would make him proud. There's a saying that I always liked, and it comes up every Rosh Hashanah. There are stars up above, so far away. We only see their light long after the star itself is gone. So it is with the people we love. Their light continues to shine through the memories they leave behind and the lives they touch. My father's light will continue to shine in the lessons he taught us, in the kindness he showed others, and in the love he gave to his family and friends. Though his time with us is done, his light remains, like the stars that brighten the dark night. His memory will guide us in the days ahead. These are the ways we remember. Dad, thank you for everything you gave us. We love you, we miss you, and we will carry your light with us always.
A ventriloquist is performing in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. He opens his show telling a few jokes about blondes. But he's interrupted when a blonde stands up and says, "Hey, I take offense to that. We are intelligent, hardworking people." And the ventriloquist says, "I'm sorry." She says, "I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the little guy in your knee." That was one of the last jokes my dad told while recovering in the hospital last fall. Probably the only appropriate joke for his temple. If you knew Bobby, you knew he was masterful at sharing a totally inappropriate joke at any time. And maybe that's how you knew him, in those social settings. He thrived with a small audience, as his poker group of 45 years would attest. But he was more than a quick-witted auto parts salesman, more than a quiet man who would disappear during a party to enjoy a Diet Coke and a Hallmark movie in the basement. The one you might not notice after my mom's second vodka gimlet. When the cards flew and the volume increased. That's the person I want to share this afternoon. About 15 years ago, my best friend Corey, who's here today, my dad and one of his best friends, Bill, who's also here, joined me on a little sailing adventure on Lake Michigan. We were headed from Milwaukee to Sheboygan and then on to Sturgeon Bay in Door County. Looking back, I'm not sure I was in any position to captain a sailboat offshore on one of the most dangerous bodies of water, but I did, and my dad and our friends were all too eager to come along. Midway to Sheboygan, the lake did what she is infamous for doing. The July sky darkened abruptly, and standing at the wheel, I watched in terror as an ominous storm began creeping across the shore toward our helpless little sailboat. I pulled down the sails and motored into the oncoming tempest. When the wind hit us, it all but lifted the boat out of the water. We were forced onto our side, and I stood at the helm, fighting the pressure of waves that seemed determined to capsize us. It was at that moment I made eye contact with my father. He was standing at the tap of the companionway next to Bill, just looking at me. The rain was pelting down. The boat felt as though it was in a death spiral, being flushed to the bottom of Lake Michigan. And my dad just stared at me, not with fear, with curiosity, almost a hint of a smirk, as if he was simply waiting to see what I would do next. My mom would be in hysterics, barking orders to everyone as if she knew the solution, but my dad was calm. The storm passed overhead, the wind died, the waves settled, a blue sky returned as though our lives hadn't just flashed before our eyes. And the only thing that remained even-keeled throughout the experience was my dad. If he was scared, I couldn't tell. And because he was there, because he was calm, I remained calm and kept control of the boat, and we survived. Surviving this loss feels different. Over the last several weeks, I've struggled, frankly, with how to feel, because my dad wasn't the main character. Often when I called home, it would be several minutes before I heard him say anything. He had been on the line the entire time listening while my mom and I did the talking, and yet he was there. Eventually, he'd share the latest news on the Badgers or tell a joke. His words were simple. He never seemed entirely comfortable talking at great length about himself or in much depth, but he never wanted anyone upset. He never put anyone down, and there's tremendous depth in that. As I think back on his life alongside mine, that sailing trip continues to feel like a metaphor. My chaos, my decisions, good or bad, a lot of bad ones, and my dad standing quietly in the storm beside me, his soft encouragement, his steady presence, that was enough to see me through. He didn't say much in those moments when I may have needed him most, but he didn't have to. He was just there. I don't think I fully understood what that meant until now. Throughout my hockey career, my dad found a quiet place along the glass, usually alone in a corner. I knew he was there, and I felt confidence because of it. When a late night in Madison required a ride home from the bars or a rescue from a party, he was there and he was calm. No reprimand, no disappointment. When I called home with exciting news, he listened. That was enough. He played a supporting role in the film of my life. My mom and I, we were the eye of the storm, the life of the party, the main characters. But my dad was perfectly happy to stand back and let us take center stage. Aside from a well-timed joke to earn a laugh, he created the space for the rest of us to shine. He was never someone to temper the fun, but somehow he made even the craziest adventures and rowdiest nights feel safe. That calming look in the eye of the storm. It's burned into my memory. I'm realizing now that though he wasn't the main character, the scene feels empty without him. That balance, that quiet he brought now is so loud. A week after he passed, I was playing golf. I've belonged to the same club for nearly a decade, and I've never seen a ladybug on the course. That first week after he died, I found one crawling around my golf ball. And then another, playful, quiet, just like my dad. I see them all the time now. There was one on the shopping bag carrying my daughter Charlie's dress that she's wearing today. Another landed on her leg last week, and at Ethan's graduation, a ladybug was crawling down my mom's shirt. Something my dad would certainly do. Papa is visiting the grandkids too. Ladybug is the name of the family dog we lost a few years back. He loved that dog. So did I. They were both a comfort to me, to us. I think he's letting us know they're both okay. Quietly, playfully. In his final months, I was in Madison more than I had been in 20 years, and that was a gift. But I saw my dad wanting to move on. For the first time, he was the main character, and he hated that role. The constant attention, he didn't want to be a burden to my mom, and he said as much. Everything felt out of balance. It hurts to know he's gone, but I love the thought that he's returned to the role he played best. A quiet presence, interrupted every so often by a well-timed joke, a playful ladybug, balance. This is the second time I've stood up here in this spot in front of so many family and friends. I was 13 the first time, and my dad stood beside me as a bar mitzvah. And I know he's here now, again. I love seeing all of you guys here. So many people he loves, so many we haven't seen in years. And just like a party at our house over the decades, he's here too, watching, smiling, laughing at all the chaos, quietly standing in the background in his own way. Thank you for being a part of his life and ours. Everyone asks me how I'm doing. The truth is, I really don't know. When I come to Madison, my mom will still ask for a vodka gimlet. We'll still get out the cards. We'll still have parties, but it won't feel balanced the way it always did. Tara reminded me recently she would disappear during the chaos of Thanksgiving and Hanukkah. Seek out my dad in the basement. Together they'd quietly watch whatever Hallmark movie happened to be on, recharging from the zoo upstairs. And it reminded me of something. I married my dad. I can't go through this life without a sturdy keel to keep me upright in the wind, in the storm. And I'm my mom. I know she misses that balance too. But we sail on, and perhaps we have to adjust our roles in the storm to make up for what's no longer here. That balance, that quiet presence that kept us safe, happy, secure, confident. I love the storm. I thrive in the chaos of our life in Denver, the excitement of 4 kids, a demanding business, and a schedule that never seems to slow down. But now I notice the ladybug on the golf course, and I pause. I slow down, and I remember something my dad understood better than I do. This is enough. Dayenu. We don't always need more. We don't always need bigger. Sometimes the calm in the storm is the point. By the time I fully realized this, the gift that he gave, he was gone. I think that's the hardest part. And perhaps the greatest gift my dad left behind. Be where your feet are. Slow down. Watch a Hallmark movie, drink a Diet Coke, tell a dirty joke, just not in Temple. Rest in peace, Dad.
Take a moment of silence with our own thoughts at this time.
this wasn't planned, but I was listening to all the beautiful remembrances of Bobby, and then I was thinking of something to sing in this moment, and then Alyssa happened to share this beautiful poem by Hannah Senish, and it was actually the song that I was thinking about singing, so.
There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light. Long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember. יש כוכבים שאורם מגיע ארצה, רק כאשר הם עצמם עבדו ואינם. יש אנשים שזיו זכרם מאיר, כאשר הם עצמם אינם עוד בתוכנו. עוד אלה המאביקים בחשכת הליל, הם שמראים לאדם את הדרך, את הדרך. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. We remember.
Invite forward a long old friend of the family, Rachel, to offer a special reading by Rabbi Alvin Fine at this time.
Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey. From childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness and often back again. From health to sickness and back, we pray to health again. From offense to forgiveness and loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude and pain to compassion and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see the victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage. A sacred pilgrimage, birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage, made stage by stage, from birth to death to life everlasting.
The final words of that poem are to life everlasting. Judaism does teach of life after life. We don't pretend to know what that looks like. We don't know what that means. But at some level, the idea of the eternality of the soul, for some of us we find great comfort in that. the prayer, the memorial prayer that we're about to read, El Male Rachamim, encompasses some of those themes. The cantor will chant it now. I invite you all to please rise.
Male rachamim, shochein bameromim, aמצי מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה. עם קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים. את נשמת יצחק בן בנימין וברי, שהלך לעולמו. יסירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר
Amen. On the inside of the program, a time for remembrance. Please join with me. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember him. In the blowing of the winds and in the chill of winter, we will remember him. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember him. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we will remember him. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember him. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember him. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember him. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember him. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember him. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we will remember him. When we have achievements that are based on his, we will remember him. So long as we live, he too shall live, for he is now a part of us as we remember him. On the back of the program are the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. After we say the Mourner's Kaddish, we'll sing one final song and we'll conclude our service. If you could help our facilities team just bring out the programs and put it on one of the standing tables there, and then turn to your left, head on there in the door, there was a luncheon, an opportunity for us to gather and to share stories. So often in our lives, stories enter our minds and they slip out soon before we have the opportunity to share them with others. When we're walking the dog, or we're driving the car, or we're washing the dishes, and we say, oh, that was nice, and it just leaves our mind. The challenge for this community is when that moment happens, you reach out to somebody, pick up your phone, you send an email, you say, this reminded me of Bobby. This is something that Bobby would have liked. This is a joke that Bobby would have told. It's upon us now. His legacy lives within each of us. We praise the eternal wellspring of life who links yesterday to tomorrow. We affirm that despite all the tragedy bound up with living, it is still good to be alive. Join with me. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divira kirte be'amlich malchute. B'chayechon uvyomechon. Uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'gala uvizman kariv bimru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach leolam ulamei almaya. Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithale v'yithalal shemed kusha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata b'shirata. Tush bechata b'nechemata. Damiram bi'alma b'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. B'chaim aleinu b'al kol Yisrael. B'imru amen. O say shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, in comfort to all who are bereaved. May the source of peace send peace to all who loved Robert Zimmerman, in comfort to his friends and family. And together we say, Amen.
Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu be'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu be'al kol Yisrael. Hamakom yenachem etchem b'tokshar avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. That concludes our service. Thank you so much for being here and sending support to this loving family.